Prime Minister Ariel Henry has resigned. The chair of the Caribbean group of countries has said following weeks of mounting pressure and increasing violence in the country. This comes after regional leaders met in Jamaica on Monday to discuss a political transition in Haiti. And speaking following the meeting in Kingston, Caribbean Community Chair and Guyana President Irfan Ali announced that a transitional presidential council will be formed and an interim prime minister will be named. Henry is currently stranded in Puerto Rico after being prevented by armed gangs from returning home. He had led the country since the former president's assassination in July 2021. Right, and of course that resignation of the Haiti Prime Minister comes, I think, just about 2 weeks after he was in Kenya to sign a reciprocal agreement with the Kenyan president that would see the deployment of deployment of Kenyan police officers to Haiti to go and offer support in terms of maintenance of security in that country. Of course, the situation has gotten out of hand the past few days. And I want us to listen to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior Affairs, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who spoke yesterday in relation to the Haiti mission, and then you can have a conversation here.
International media reports that some European Union nations and the United States of America have evacuated their non-essential staff, such as diplomats, from their embassies by helicopter in the cover of darkness. The United States increasing security personnel at the embassy, which remains among the safest areas in Port-au-Prince due to upscaled security.
Cabinet Secretary, salute!
Despite the situation in Haiti, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki says Kenya will not back down from deploying its officers to restore order.
The court said we needed to have a reciprocal agreement with Haiti. That reciprocal agreement has already been signed about a week ago. So we are now in the pre-deployment stage. All the other programs are in place, including the status of forces agreement and the laws on detention, arrests, and other enforcement measures are now in place. The standard operation procedures are in place.
Downplaying the court process that stalled the deployment, the CS also refuted rumors that some officers had opted out of the mission.
Kenya is the lead nation, but there are so many other countries that have pledged to contribute troops. And this came from the mandate of the United Nations Security Council. So it's part of our international obligations. The court matter has been addressed. And that other rumor you are talking about, I think, tell the source of that rumor to return it wherever it came from.
Just a few days after Kenya signed a reciprocity agreement with Haiti, President William Ruto Saturday held a phone conversation with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, where they discussed the political and security situation in the Caribbean nation. They both underscored their commitment towards the deployment of the multinational security support mission to support the Haitian National Police in creating necessary security conditions to support a free and fair election. U.S. White House spokesperson said talks are ongoing with the embattled Prime Minister to seek solutions towards restoring order in Haiti.
As the situation on the ground grows increasingly dire, we in CARICOM have continued to call on stakeholders, including the Prime Minister, to make concessions in the interest of the Haitian people. So we are not calling on him or pushing for him to resign, but we are urging him to expedite the transition to an empowered and inclusive governance structure that will move with urgency to help the country prepare for a multinational security support mission to address the security situation and pave the way for free and fair elections.
As those discussions continue, G9 gang leader Jimmy Chariza has warned of dire consequences if the Prime Minister does not resign and return back to Haiti. The Prime Minister has remained silent in Puerto Rico, where he has been since he left Kenya and was unable to return to Haiti following escalated violence that led to the closure of the main airport in the nation's capital. Mashirima Kapombe, Citizen TV.
All right, so that was the latest as of yesterday. You hear the professor, that is Professor Kindiki, speaking about the hate mission is still on. And now you get to this point. And we were here last week, Senator Onyonka, and you were speaking about why this is bad for the country to be engaging with an institution that is not necessarily legitimate. Now, the Prime Minister is out. What should Kenya do?
What I actually talked about last week about the issues in Haiti, I was raising the issue of the legality. Because, you know, there was a matter which was taken to court. And you notice that Professor Kindiki has actually answered that question. He says, we were asked by the court that we needed to have a bilateral agreement between Kenya and Haiti. Fortunately, that bilateral agreement was signed before the Prime Minister left. He came, signed it when he was in office, and when he was leaving, he was deposed. All right, so it legally holds. The point I wanted to make some is that I worry, because I understand the social, historical, political, and regional issues that are affecting Haiti. I worry because Haiti's history is known. Haiti has been without stable government, without proper, democracy, elections which are always rigged or stolen. You can go back to the 1980s. There was the first president of Haiti was called Duvalier. Duvalier then left the government to be managed by his son, who was called Papa Doc. Papa Doc was basically a guy who used to go to Miami and go and have fun in gambling casinos and everything. There was nothing. And then the history of Haiti, you know it, the Haitian people then crossed over deeply into religion, using voodoo and the other things which have made the country completely ungovernable. Unfortunately, we as Africans who are on this side of the continent have never really bothered what happens to a country like Haiti. The only worry that I have, and that is the worry that many of us in the opposition have with the decision by President Ruto taking these troops into Haiti, is number one, I pray to God that he has made sure that we have got Kenyans who can speak French. Most of the Haitians, or all of them, speak French. I hope that he's going to be able to provide enough equipment, including armored personnel carriers, and that what he needs. I believe the UN should be able to facilitate him to achieve that. And I also hope that when the president has allowed our troops to go, if any of them were caught in demise and they died, he would make sure that they are compensated fully. Those who go and serve are paid all their allowances, monies, which has been the history we have, where our troops, when they go out of the country to go and fight, their money is always eaten by the big boys. And hopefully that Kenya will be a representative of an African country that has been on peacekeeping missions in many, many countries elsewhere. But the best example we have had is in Namibia. You know, we are the ones who took Namibia, managed their transition, made sure that the independence came. In fact, when the Kenyan troops were coming back, including Major General Pande, I am told the Namibians were literally crying and begging them not to go. And in fact, the president of Namibia told the troops that they could stay and become citizens. That's what I'm hoping that our troops will do. When Kenyans are given a clear mandate, when Kenyans are given the template and the journey they're going to follow, we are reasonable. One of the things internationally we are known is that we hardly take political sides, even when somebody may think that we can be compromised. I hope that the president will make sure that our police are prepared well.
Okay.
Make sure that he does everything to make sure they perform well. I'm sure the Americans are going to be engaged with the Kenyan population. Why many people may not understand why the Kenyan government, and I've not seen what the agreement, the bilateral agreements are, is that it is much easier and better for Haitian people to see black people going in as police officers, as the people who manage their crises. If our teams go in there as they are going in, providing security and providing protection as a police force, and there, I know there will be paramilitary people, I will also hope that the president then can look for a back channel on where he can use his capacity, because now we are going into the international stage where he can actually play a role, and hopefully if Raila becomes the AU boss, then now you can put the forces together and begin to negotiate between the Haiti people so that the Haitians can agree to
I hear you, even though the mission here, Deputy Speaker, I'll get to you, Senator Maina. The mission here is security support mission. 100 police officers, and the Professor Kindiki says, 1,000 police officers, and the professor says they'll all be men that will be going to Haiti for that mission. Yet we still do not know what the president signed with Ariel Henry. And it is after that signing that all hell broke loose in Haiti. That's when the sustained calls for his resignation came. So where do we stand in terms of that agreement? And is it something that Parliament would be keen on understanding the details of the signing, because the law says it has to be gazetted?
Okay, I think I'd be speculating if I started to discuss what is in the reciprocal agreement. But reciprocal agreements are usually standard agreements, and therefore I don't believe that there would be nothing out of the ordinary, because it's not the first time that Kenya has been involved in this type of missions. We've done it in many missions over the years, DRC.
Using Section 107 and 108 of the National Police Service Act, have we done that?
I'm saying in the past, Kenya has been part of peacekeeping missions. It was just under old constitution, but it has also happened under the current constitution. What would happen? What the facts? I think it's better just that I speak to the facts that I know for a fact.
Okay.
We know that there was a request made to Kenya by the UN to be able to give their forces to go and lend a hand to the challenges that was in Haiti. There were big discussions across the diplomatic world about that it's better if you sent Africans to go to that country as opposed to sending people that had a bad history. America had a bad history with them and so on. So that was already, and with that we were required to have a reciprocal agreement, which was signed. It was signed by the president of Prime Minister of Haiti. It was the Prime Minister, right?
Right.
Yeah, he signed it recently when on his visit to Kenya. I presume that governments have perpetual succession, which therefore means that what is signed by one government automatically is taken over and adopted by the next government that will come in, unless, of course, somebody raises a technicality that he didn't have the power to do it or something like that. So anything else that we discuss around it is actually speculation, because none of us were sitting in those rooms.
No, that's okay, Deputy Speaker, but I'm just wondering, because you said that perpetual succession in government, first of all, the legitimacy of Ariel Henry was in question. In fact, now that he has resigned, who is even taking over from him? There's no president, there's no parliament. So how can you enforce such a reciprocal agreement that was signed by someone whose legitimacy was in question and now has resigned? There's not even any form of follow-up that you can do.
That's why, Sam, I'm saying I do not want to speculate. I'm saying in ordinary circumstances, an agreement signed by one government will be adopted by the next government because of the doctrine of perpetual succession. But, of course, the facts might be different on the ground. We do not know. We don't know whether it's his legitimacy at the time of signing will be contested. We do not know. And that's why I cannot speculate on it unless I get all those facts.
Should this concern Parliament? Because it is the Kenyan police officers that are just about to go to Haiti. You are the representatives of the people.
Parliament has done its part as required by the Constitution and the law, and also as was required by the court order.
Which is?
Which is the matter comes before Parliament and Parliament gives approval.
But that motion came from the National Security Council, which the High Court said cannot. National Security Council cannot deploy police officers.
Yes, and then they gave instructions on what actually in fact happened was because the Constitution says, and also the National Police Service Act says that they can't deploy the forces provided there's a reciprocal agreement.
Yes.
And then that box
but not the National Security Council. And the motion Parliament dealt with was based on what National Security Council had done. Mm-hmm. And the High Court said National Security Council cannot deploy.
Yes.
So there's no binding decision by Parliament to deploy, is there?
No, actually all the paperwork, what I know obviously is that all the paperwork has been done and everything has been done correctly. The only circumstance that has changed now is the issue of their president, which we do not know what the reaction in the country would be.
And that is what I'm asking, because even the time that you're passing a motion to approve deployment of the police outside the country, the circumstances were there was a prime minister, despite the legitimacy question, there was a prime minister. Now there's not. He's not even able to go back to his country. He's resigning away from the country.
Okay, that's your speculation.
No, it's true. He's in Puerto Rico.
No, but I'm just saying, I know he's out of the country, but I cannot speculate on the consequences arising out of it unless I have the latest facts of, is there a challenge to his legitimacy when he signed it? We haven't had so.
Okay.
There was no challenge. At that time,
the question I'm asking...
Yeah, in ordinary circumstances, it would any agreement signed by one president, even just like international treaties. Yeah. Some international treaties have gone over 5 successive or 10 successive governments, and they are still in effect. That's why I'm telling you, that is the usual modus operandi. If this will have a different factual situation, then we can now discuss it.
Honorable Elachi, you said there were no legitimacy questions, but I remember listening to the members of the National Assembly discussing this matter. Specifically, Opiyo Wandayi was saying that there are questions of legitimacy because a president was killed. Ariel Henry had not been sworn in. He had just been nominated. He was never vetted, but he took over power. In fact, the president was killed 2 days after he nominated Ariel Henry. So, again, the question I was asking Deputy Speaker, should this concern Parliament based on the change of facts?
Remember, the request is from the UN, not from that. We are not interrogating the circumstances that are occurring inside the country. But the High Court said
the reciprocal agreement has to be based on a request from the requesting government, which is Haiti in this case.
No, the agreement is signed with the government that you're going to support, but the original request is from the United Nations. It's actually a UN.
For me, Sam, what I see is that even if you question Kenya, you know, we will look at our democracy and we will look at Haiti and ask ourselves, even if you are questioning their president was never sworn in, what type of a country are they in at the moment? I mean, it is a failed state if you ask me. But then having said that, you see, let's start. It's very sad because all French colonized countries have a big challenge in many of their things, and most of them are just in war. Yes, even when you look at West Africa, all French colonized. And I think that is why Rwanda decided to come out of French and just focus on English after they went through that genocide. I'm sorry to say that to our French brothers and sisters, but it is true. Because you colonized this country, and then they came out in the 19th century, and from that time they have never had calmness. I mean, it's a country on many issues that you can't even understand. But then I'm asking myself, the UN also, these are just 11 million people. I mean, honestly, we cannot just sit, even the UN cannot just sit and say this country will just go to the dogs of we have to, the UN has to think. And if possible, I mean, the same way you come here in Africa and you get into Goma, the same way you go into all the Afghanistan, the same way you have to get into Haiti and deal with it and deal with this. This is not right for even the women, the children, and even the elderly. You ask yourself a question and you wonder, where is this country? Yet in other countries, you are able to bring in a UN force, you are able to step in and even stay for 20 years. You have stayed how many years in DRC? Why can't we take over and see, to rebuild this nation, you need even to move out of their city and build a just new city for them. Absolute out of this town of theirs, and you come in from the rural, advancing into and take over Haiti and make it a country for all.
And there has been several attempts, even by
No, they have
US.
not. They have
the
not.
US has been there.
It is not supposed. That is where the problem is.
There's
it
a bad
should not
history with the
to
US.
be the US. It is supposed to be the UN. The UN force must get in and make it a UN agenda, not an agenda of any country.
Because you don't have control over what happens in Haiti, but you have control over what happens in Kenya.
Yeah.
Should Parliament be concerned that there's a deployment pending to a country that has no government, had questions of legitimacy over the Prime Minister, and a reciprocal deal has been signed, which has not been made public?
No.
He's trying to get you to anticipate debate in the House.
For me, Parliament should. We finished ours,
Yeah,
and it went now to the President. I saw the Prime Minister there. By the way, it moved out of Parliament. So it is up to now the documents they have.
Okay.
The instruments they have. Let me just finish some.
Question. The facts have changed.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Should Parliament be concerned?
No, we can't, because we moved and the Prime Minister came and they signed the documents, the instruments, both sides, and they agreed. It is up
Parliament
to the country now.
is functus officio. That's what it's called in law.
Yes. And we must be asking ourselves. We must ask ourselves.
Anything is introduced.
We must ask ourselves as a country now. It's not Parliament, that now in the situation they are in, it is for us to write our report back to the UN, because it was the UN
as who?
that... Because
you said not as Parliament, but as a country. So who will write?
It is now the President, because they had signed the instruments. And they thought things were going to work well until they've realized the Prime Minister has been unable even to go back to his country. It means you are already dealing with a failed state. Where do you go back to? You go back to the UN, where you started this process. And you say, we had reached at this level, and so UN guide us how we deal now with the matter.
Senator, excuse me, Senator Maina, you are the other lawyer on the panel. Tell me, because the High Court found that the National Security Council had no mandate of deploying police officers outside the country, so they shouldn't have. So even the motion that Parliament was dealing with, I mean, it was a wrong motion, because it shouldn't come from the national security on such a matter. Is it for real that Parliament should not be concerned with the change of facts?
I think Parliament should and must always be concerned about very many issues. This issue of deployment, and that is why the motion was brought before the Parliament. But I will remind you of the clip you have played for us here with the CS Security Interior, addressing the issue of the legal issues that were raised in court, including the fact that there was need for reciprocity in the agreement that was to be signed between Kenya and Haiti. And what the CS has done is to assure Kenyans that those conditions that were laid by courts have already been fulfilled, and therefore the ministry feels they are ready to deploy. And it is true, you should be concerned that the Haitian Prime Minister has now resigned, and he's the one who signed the agreement. And it's a good concern, because this is a live matter that is happening. But what I would want to remind you is the situation and the capacity that Kenya holds and has held even in the region in terms of stabilizing the region, bringing more peace to the region. And I just want to remind us that Kenya has been in DRC, Kenya has been in Somalia, Kenya has been in Southern Sudan, and I would say to the nation of Kenya, congratulations for making the region very stable and sending peace and hope. And I would also remind us about situations where Kenya was in a very difficult situation, the West Gate, the Dusit, and you ask yourself, did anyone help us? One of the questions I asked myself when Rwanda was in trouble is, where was the world when so many people were being killed? Because the question we should ask ourselves, the moral question we should ask ourselves, is it okay for all the nations to watch another nation going down? Haiti is a nation of black people. And Kenya is not going to Haiti to fight the people of Haiti. Kenya is going to Haiti, is deploying a force in Haiti, more so to assure the brothers in Haiti
that there have been nations that have gone down, but which can boil back and be in a position of forming their own government. It's an assurance that they can actually now settle that nation and reach a point where they can conduct elections, some. And we must be positive. But I must say, as a human being, I would worry. I worry about the people who go there. I wouldn't want any police officer to die in Haiti. And of course, we will be praying for them as Kenyans if they are deployed to Haiti. But these are hard decisions and very hard conversations that must be had. Sam, does the world want to wake up when we have lost 4 million Haitis or 2 million Haitis? My take would be, let UN wake up. Let even the big superpowers wake up. UK, US, everybody. Let everybody wake up and say...
The US is offering financial support, including for the mission.
They must offer more than that, in my view.
Which is?
They have to offer more in terms of even supporting what is needed in Haiti. Even the intelligence, because if you just offer financial support and you have a system that could even help to calm that situation, it is not good enough. Because some we must accept, it is not correct the way Rwanda was watched until people died, that you go to the museum and you find very shiny, what you have is a demonstration of 1 million people, the declared number, and I believe there could have been more. For me, I think it's time for the whole world to wake up, not just Kenya. So let other people also wake up and say, you know what, we're not going to have one more deaths in Haiti. I have watched those people running, Sam, and I'm very passionate because I've been involved in electioneering in Kenya and have been in the tight position of trusting God every day that no Kenyan dies out of an electioneering process or out of a process that tries to make a government. It is time for nations not to shy away, but nations to pick up the mantle and say, we are facing a very dire situation. How has Ukraine been treated in the course of their conflict? Are we treating Haiti the same? Are we deploying the same effort? I looked at what Poland did to Ukraine, and I was happy they were able to take in the people who are desperate, who are distressed. For me, I look at Haiti and I say, I wish we could offer them more. I wish we could offer.
Apart from the humanitarian...
And let me finish this, because it's important. And I've seen Haiti sending a lot of social media posts which reach Kenya and we read. I would want the Haiti people to know Kenya is not a nation that is coming to aggress the situation or make it aggravated, even to those rebels. Kenya is coming in as a nation that is known for peacekeeping, a nation that wants to come, and a color that maybe speak to the Haitians that we come in the brotherhood spirit. So if our police officers are deployed, because I know when you work in a security sector, you then know the risk of the jobs you uptake. Security sector, by the way, it is not for people to sit in camps doing nothing. It is for people to offer that security and assure humanity that they can survive on a day-to-day basis. So for me, I would say, let the world wake up. Join Kenya, if that's what is going to stabilize that nation. So we don't hear of women and girls dying and children dying. I have watched them running the street and it's really sad.
Okay, I hear you, and make a passionate appeal, especially for humanity. I'll get to you, Senator Nyonka. You make a passionate appeal for humanity, but beyond humanity, what is Kenya's interest in Haiti?
I don't have the details of the
for them to have
reciprocal agreement, whatever is there, but it's a peace deal. For me, I think it's a peace deal. And Kenya has edged its reputation on helping nations to be birthed. I was very happy to see that Kenya has deployed now an ambassador to Somalia. And when I saw him post and somebody was saying, don't post too many photos, I said, if they are from Somalia, we can have 100 photos, because it means a person is taking a photograph without checking their back on whether someone is bombing them or shooting them, because that's what we must have. You never know the value of peace until somebody takes it.
That's why I'm asking that question, because, I mean, Somalia is in the region. I mean, we share quite a long border with them.
Yes.
But, I mean, I hear your answer.
Kenya is a community of nations, so we don't operate in isolation.
We have international. Why are the nations hiding?
We have international obligations.
I want to hear US deploy their own force.
Please, Senator Maina, let's allow Senator Nyonka to speak. He's been quiet for a bit of time.
The issue that I see you struggling with is because our sisters who completely support the president, for them, the argument is this is a good move and it's okay because we are black and everything. For you to send a police force or a military force to a country to either go and peacekeep or provide security, normally there are three things which matter. One is which regional bloc do you belong to? Number two, the second issue that comes up, which the regional bloc, you look at the local level, like now, even matter if there was an issue in West Africa, then you have ECOWAS coming in, and the ECOWAS team then will have to consider whether they're looking at the regional issue from the Francophonie or from the Anglophonie. Normally, the country which is looked for, because one of the most difficult or the impediment that a force which goes into an area is language. The second issue, it is true. The reason why Kenyans have been reacting the way they do about Haiti is because they don't see the direct relationship between what are the tangible benefits or what is the soft power benefits that our country is getting. Is it economic power? Are you going to be given an international profile to show that you are a country that has got management in terms of security issues within your region? For me, item number one, and I keep talking about it when I come here, we want our president to follow the law. We don't want anything to be done behind the law. The reason for that, when you don't do things within the law, the implications and complications that are created out of that create a bigger mess for you as a president. Number two, the reason why I believe the situation of Haiti and our relationship and our engagement with Haiti is that there hasn't been a government clear statement, policy objectives, what we are going to do, how do we get in, and when do we get out. Everything has been left hanging out because there was a court case, and I think the government was struggling with the court case. Then the court case is, of course, now you have a bilateral. How I wish that the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and in this case, our brother, my friend, Mr. Musale Mudavadi, how I wish the Foreign Minister was Moses Wetangula. He would stand up, you would see Weta saying, the reason why we are going to Haiti is this.
What did he say?
Say what?
What did you say?
I said how I wish my foreign minister was Weta. I mean, Musale is going around. He's okay. He's a good man. He's lovely. He's my friend. But even when the president is talking about Haiti and the Minister of Interior is the one talking about Haiti and not the Foreign Affairs Minister.
Because it's a police deployment.
Because it's confusion. It is the Minister for Foreign Affairs who stands up and says, we are going to Haiti because of this, our agenda and purpose is this, the president has said this, and we are hoping our trips.
But Senator, there's no diplomatic relationship between Kenya and Haiti in terms of even an embassy here or even a Kenyan embassy in Haiti.
We are members of the United Nations.
Yeah.
Kenya is going to Haiti under the auspices of the United Nations. That's how we went to Somalia.
Professor Kindiki is the Minister for Police Matters.
No, he's not going to police people in Haiti. The matter becomes an international affair matter. It is Musalia who's supposed to have been declaring and talking about what we are going to do in Haiti. Now, Kindiki is talking about we are signing agreements. That is...
Give the minister
they
time.
Sit in one cabinet.
He's coming to talk about.
But you know they sit in one cabinet.
Allow me, gentlemen and ladies. Allow me. Can you allow me to finish? Please allow me to finish.
That is why.
The president, by now, he should have, and I will tell you, Sammy, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has got some of the brightest people I've ever worked for. They would give him a blueprint what to do. They would have told him by now, Your Excellency, you go in this, our agenda in your government, depending on what the KK government wanted in Haiti and what they have discussed bilaterally, that would be stated. Then he would prepare Kenyans and say, we are moving into Haiti for the next 2 years. That is our mandate. We don't know whether we will change and continue. But in case we do, we will come and tell you. And we hope to minimize our losses when we go to Haiti, and we are linking this with the American government. The United Nations is supporting us, and we hope that the Haitian people, and that's why I kept on saying that by this time that the President of the Republic of Kenya is authorizing for our boys to go to Haiti, by now he should have started negotiating with those goons in Haiti. so that he starts telling them, we are not coming to kill you, we are not coming to take over your country, we want you to run your country, you'll have elections. And so that by this time, our president, in fact, would even have talked about the transition. By now, the Kenyan government would have told what happened to Ariel. Nobody's talking. This is what I'm saying. What is Musale doing? He should by now have said what has happened to the Prime Minister of Haiti and what the Kenyan position is vis-a-vis us troubling. The Kenyan government by now, with the United Nations and the US, should have come up with a strategy to say how Haiti will be reconstructed.
Sam, that's why I'm saying.
The last item that my government and I hope my president will talk about is the humanitarian support that is going to give the people of Haiti who have no food now, have no water.
Okay. And how just like the way they are giving Gaza.
So, Sam,
exactly. As you get the final word,
I want to respond to that.
Tell me this as you get the final word. So
because
the president and the now former Prime Minister of Haiti witnessed the signing of that deal between CS Kindiki and the official from the Haitian side. The president of Kenya is the custodian of that deal for Kenya. The other side, the person has gone. How sure are we that Haiti will keep their end of the bargain?
You see, the situation, this is an evolving situation, Sam, and we must work with it the way it is. Because now circumstances have changed completely. And I'm sure even as Kenya moves into Haiti, it's more of the UN now trying to help this nation because the UN owes this to Haiti and owes this to the world. So that if you are to have any stabilizing factor in Haiti, it will be a leaning towards the international conventions now. Even for the people of Haiti, what you save them are those conventions, the ICCPR, the United Nations Charter. Those are the legal documents that are going to salvage this nation so that it doesn't become failed to a point where now people are dying and being buried.
And you see, there is already a statement that has been made by the Caribbean community leaders, and they've actually accepted the resignation and established a transitional presidential council. Yes. And they are going to name an interim prime minister. So they are ensuring that there is continuity.
So there will be some form of temporal arrangement that you then help any transaction that needs to be dealt with the Haiti people based on the transitional government or transitional arrangement that may be made for purposes of stabilizing the nation. But what my learned, my colleague is talking about, the Prime Cabinet Secretary having not addressed the nation on this issue, we must realize first it was a security issue, which then cascades to other ministries.
Okay.
But Kenyans, we are so quick. If you look at Kenyans, the minute something is being done like that, they've already given you the advisory, good and bad, on what you should be doing now. They move so fast. Well, cabinet doesn't work like that. Cabinet doesn't work at the top of the social media or at the top of Twitter. So I am sure some of the concerns that my colleague is having, which are valid concerns among Kenyans, will be addressed by the foreign minister.
Okay, all right. All right, let's take a look at the feedback that has come to us at Citizen TV Kenya at some Gitukude.
Being in government is difficult.
What I can saying this morning. So this is on X. Okelo Mwalimu saying that for the resignation of Haiti PM, we are hopeful that the 1,000 police officers will be deployed to various parts of the country to fight cattle rustling, date and robbery, illicit brews, and apprehend perpetrators of inter-ethnic clashes. Okay. Dombori, you're saying that it is disturbing to see Haitians cannibalizing their fellow citizens, and the Kenyan government is enthusiastically sending police to this country. What does the government hope to benefit from this exercise? Lillian CEO, you said that Kenyan women are not only resilient, but hardworking and bold as well. We appreciate what President Ruto is doing to ensure that women get what they deserve in terms of leadership. Sir Nixon Dugirem, dear Boda Boda riders, the best rides are the ones where you bite off just what you can chew and live through it. The existing traffic laws will guide you how to smartly execute. Integrity is key. That was in our earlier conversation. Women shouldn't just wait to be given things on a silver platter. Let them show up, fight for their space, and give forth service that's worth their presence in any leadership capacity. And T, you say that as a father of girls, I feel women should show up their qualities. Let us motivate them to go for direct elective seats and present their leadership qualities, not their gender. Honorable Lachi, Wanga, Mbarire should be taken as role models.
True.
Oh, okay. Chalo Wodrozi, you said that let everyone fight for his or her space in any position available. The era of favoring a particular gender is long gone. Some promised positions to women will never see the light of the day. And Bob Otieno, you're saying the government should create a position of educating Kenyans how to deal with infidelity and committing of suicide, more so on mental health care, which is a major contributor of all these problems, leading to deaths almost on a daily basis. Kulabusia, you say that kindly can the panel explain why UN pulled out from Haiti? UN peacekeeping force was put in place in 2004 to keep stabilizing the country and only withdrew in 2017. Samuel Oworth, you're saying the big question should be, does the reciprocating agreement he signed with Kindiki Kithure, that is his interior on behalf of the government of Kenya, hold water? The legitimacy of the Prime Minister during this signing notwithstanding.
He was still a Prime Minister.
You're still a Prime Minister.
And Musao Kimani Ichung'wah clearly said it in broad daylight, hawataki vijana waende Haiti watuletee madola. The main reason why this mission is being pushed is in that statement. I don't know why we pretend we didn't hear him. And I am Kaka Edu, the last one. We thank the President for the good gesture, but more is needed to bring equality. We can't be putting women year in, year out to fight what is rightfully theirs, as stipulated in the Constitution. And of course, Sawe, Kenya Kwanza's commitments to women seem lofty. William Ruto too has struggled to fulfill their mandates, raising questions about their pursuit of additional positions. Shole's inactivity in Uganda, in Uasin Gishu is loud. She should begin addressing local issues before aspiring for more women. What is inactivity?
She's very active.
That might actually be an unfair statement. Because
she had a very big event the other day.
Yeah, in action.
Many.
Joy is saying, if the Prime Minister couldn't even go there, how should we send our policemen there? We need Baringo more than Haiti. That is Joe Kihara writing to us this morning.
Go back there.
So Senator Onyonka, Senator Maina, Beatrice Elachi, and Honorable Speaker, thank you so much for making time for us to have this conversation. Up next is Matter Social.
It is the first time I've sat next to three beautiful women and I was unable to speak.
Which is good.
Okay, now Senator Onyonka, you're on my screen.
Yes.
You're on my screen.
Oh.